Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to be your personal chess mentor today. If you've ever felt like your games just completely descend into chaos after those first few moves, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to transform that chaotic beginner play into tight, structured, strategic thinking. We're building a mental framework so strong that you're going to know exactly what to do at every single stage of the board. Just think of this as your master blueprint for your very first properly structured game. Let's get into it.
So before you even touch a piece, what are you thinking about? Because, listen, here's the harsh truth. Blunders completely destroy games. Playing too fast, that is literally the biggest trap you can fall into as a beginner. The real secret to winning actually starts way before your hand even reaches for that knight or bishop. It's all about the questions you're asking yourself the second it becomes your turn.
Okay, let's dive into the syllabus. First up, we've got the pre-move checklist. Then we'll march through the opening, the middle game, and the end game. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the master habit.
All right, Section 1, the pre-move checklist.
Now, I need you to treat this three-step pre-move checklist as absolutely mandatory. I really mean it. Before every single turn, you've got to ask yourself these three things. Step 1, what is attacked? Are any of your pieces in immediate flashing red danger? Step 2, what changed? When your opponent just moved, what new diagonal or files suddenly opened up? And step 3, is anything hanging? Meaning, is there a completely unprotected piece sitting out there just waiting to be snatched up? Like, say, your queen, which you definitely absolutely do not want to give away for free. Running through this quick mental checklist is hands down the best way to stop blundering your pieces away.
Moving right along to Section 2, Opening, the first battle.
Okay, consider this your pre-game pep talk. These are the golden opening rules you just have to memorize. First, control the center. Those four middle squares, E4, D4, E5, and D5, they are prime real estate. Controlling them gives you the space you need and makes launching attacks so much easier, because your pieces just become incredibly active. Second, develop your pieces fast. Get those knights and bishops out there before you even think about moving your heavy hitters like the queen or the rooks. Third, castle early. King's safety matters above literally everything else. Castling tucks your king away into a nice, safe fortress and actually leads perfectly into our last rule. Connecting your rooks on the back rank, all without wasting a single move.
There is just a massive difference between how a beginner opens a game and how a master does it. As a beginner, it's so tempting to feel this chaotic urge to just whip the queen out instantly and attack, or to bounce the same piece around 3 times just to grab a random pawn. But strong opening goals, they're all about fighting for activity and development. Look, if you bring your queen out too early, your opponent is just going to gain free tempo, free moves basically, by attacking her while they develop their own pieces. So focus on your knights, get those bishops out, and protect that king.
All right, Section 3, middle game, tactics and plans.
Now this is the battlefield where most games are actually won or lost. And I want to pause you right here to remind you about our pre-move checklist. Why? Because the absolute biggest skill you can have in the middle game is spotting threats. You really have to avoid ignoring those threats, leaving pieces hanging, and falling for nasty tricks like forks, pins, and skirrels. I mean, even a single weak square, like a square your pawns can no longer defend, can literally lose you the game on the spot. You've got to keep an eagle eye on open files, diagonals, and those sneaky back rank weaknesses. Let me put you in the hot seat for just a second here. Ask yourself, which piece is doing nothing? When you hit the middle game and you suddenly feel completely lost, you know that feeling, right? Not knowing what your grandmaster plan should be? Just ask yourself that one simple question. The easiest way to form a solid, reliable middle game plan is to find your absolute worst piece on the board and simply figure out how to improve its position.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down piece coordination, because that's the real secret here. Weak players tend to launch these random, hopeful attacks with single pieces acting totally on their own. But strong players, they make their pieces work together like a unified, well-oiled machine. They stick their rooks on open files because, well, rooks absolutely love open lines. They maneuver their knights to safe little outposts. These are squares where they're completely protected and just incredibly annoying to the opponent. They know that bad pawn structures create long-term weaknesses, so they plan out that coordination super carefully.
We've made it to Section 4, Endgame, Precision and Promotion.
Welcome to the endgame, where there is a massive, and I mean massive, mindset shift. Think about it. In the opening, your entire goal was to protect the king, right? To castle early, to hide him away securely in a fortress. But now the king literally steps out of the castle and becomes this active frontline brawler. You have to activate your king to fight for the remaining squares. It's a total game changer.
And speaking of game changers, a passed pawn is absolute gold in the endgame. It's exactly what it sounds like, a pawn with absolutely no enemy pawn blocking its path. This makes it incredibly dangerous because its sole destiny in life is to march straight down the board and promote right into a queen. Oh, and a quick tip for your rooks here: rooks belong strictly behind these passed pawns. You want them back there actively pushing your pawns forward to victory or putting the enemy king in check.
You're also going to need to learn a few really essential endgame concepts like opposition. This is a super critical technique where the kings are basically facing off against each other, and the player who's forced to move has to give up vital space and ends up losing control of the position. Mastering these basic patterns, like opposition or checkmating with a king and queen against a lone king and just basic pawn endings, that is absolutely essential before you even try advancing to highly complex endgame patterns.
Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, the master habit. So the crucial point here is this brilliantly simple chess improvement formula. Step 1, in the opening, you develop safely. Step 2, in the middle game, you use your tactics and your plans. And Step 3, in the endgame, you activate your king and promote those pawns. Honestly, if you just keep this 3-step map in your head, you are never going to feel totally lost on the board again.
And this brings us right back to where we started today. Remember our pre-move checklist? Well, this right here is the master habit in its final evolved form. Strong players are constantly, obsessively, scanning for these 5 specific things: checks, captures, threats, weak pieces, and king safety. They run this mental scan before every single move. Cultivating this habit alone, that is the absolute core difference between winning and losing your games.
I'm going to leave you with a final provocative thought to chew on. Losses teach you so much more than wins ever could. So the question is, are you ready to analyze yours? Look, chess improves through repetition, through learning patterns, and most importantly, through analyzing your own mistakes. When you lose, and trust me, you will lose as you learn, don't get discouraged. Actually, scratch that, lean into it. Go back, figure out exactly where you ignored that pre-move checklist, and learn from it. Now take a deep breath, remember your development, and go play a thoughtful, highly structured game of chess.